how you doing? Yeah. For this year or for next year? Right?
Jim.
Oh, that's what you're asking for? Yeah. Okay.
Just let me know.
Do you need a hand, Mike?
What's that?
How many do we need?
You're the one who guys help me.
How many do we need?
Yes.
Maybe 2 more steps to 8.
Yeah, we can.
I don't have all of us.
Okay. This much. I just came from this.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, I didn't know it.
I send you the message. Oh, so you're over the
I said, no
fire.
one made the time. I said, I would just send a message.
I don't know.
I said,
Maybe they like our meeting.
I,
Yeah, I know, they want to be on TV.
I've never actually, I've not seen any of them.
I refuse to, it gives me anxiety. Does anybody want an agenda?
Yes.
Wow, thank you.
Well,
And no one even walked in, is that what you just said?
Yeah, we did. We all did escape.
You're last week.
Yeah.
Why? That's it. Are you standing? I can.
thank you.
Good for my son, and then I was like, okay.
We really won't make it very far.
We got 1 minute. 1 minute.
Then I remember.
Sure.
I know.
One over here too. Not by Andy.
No, I would think so. Pretty good. Yeah, right. Yes.
I'll sit by Andy.
That's about her.
Take a note to start those important things.
5:30.
It's already done.
Oh, it's on? All right.
Yes.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so do we have any updates on the agenda? Okay, so we're going to move along to public comment and we're going to keep it at 5 minutes per, as this looks like it's going to be quite a bit. So who wants to go first? Any public comment? Just on anything?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I was showed this letter that was mailed to all the residents, except I didn't get one, and neither did my neighbors. It's all about like the infrastructure bidding downtown. And, I'm just concerned because it's like my neighborhood, I guess while I was gone, there was like some
Can
site
you flip
survey
it over?
done.
We can't.
Sorry.
Can you pass? Please, one.
The letter was dated August 26th.
Yep.
And,
You're nuts.
and then like during the, I was gone for 10 days as well as my neighbor, and during that 10 days, some kind of site survey happened in my neighborhood by my property.
Yep.
And I just was not aware of it, nor did I get the letter. So I'm trying to get some clarity on that. So, we can all plan.
Sure.
Because I've heard like hearsay and I'd rather just get it from, directly from the town.
So this is my attempt here to communicate a little better to residents, right?
Right.
So I use our GIS system that we have. It tells me who the abutters are
Okay,
and how close you are,
right,
plus or minus, right?
right,
To a particular property that we're doing work at.
okay,
So if you weren't on that list, but you might be close, I apologize because the system didn't pick you up as an abutter.
okay.
I apologize for that. But that is work that we are gonna have our road crew do, and that's
Right.
just
Did we already
ditching,
start?
edging, and jetting. The
Alright.
same type of typical construction work we do, and I wouldn't even call it construction work, it's really road maintenance.
Right.
That's what we do.
Right,
And I just want to let you know,
right.
that's what we were doing.
Well, I had heard, this is like I said, hearsay, and I don't like hearsay. I like to be very transparent.
Sure.
So, my transparency is that I heard that there was gonna be a new ditch on Bellevue that was not gonna be, filled in with any like riprap or anything, and I'm not like, and I already have like a property that's plugged that no water gets to, and like you've got that 8 inches of rain, and all the water just magically dissipated. I was really happy that I didn't get flooded out like in years past.
Mhm.
So I'm just was concerned with what's gonna happen and if that is true. You know, like I'm not here to like ruffle any feathers, but I just want to know like what the plan is on Bellevue
Mhm.
and the culverts that are there.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, the culverts are further down on Bellevue at that
The
corner.
culvert that she's referring to is the last one on that list, right? So basically on the high side of Bellevue, above Pleasant Street, that ditch we ditched this spring, right down near the culvert, near the intersection of Bellevue and Pleasant Street, it filled back into sand.
Right,
So we're gonna clean that out.
okay,
We're gonna jet that culvert.
okay,
And then from that culvert down the edge of the road, we're just gonna cut the shoulders off like we normally would and then reseed it. So
okay,
that way water gets off the road the
Alright.
way that it should. And then when
Okay.
we get down all the way to the bottom of that, next to your house,
right,
we're gonna make sure that that culvert is in good shape, and if it's not, we'll have
Okay.
to take care of it,
Right.
budget for it, whatever. And we'll
Right.
have to jet that culvert, clean it out, make sure everything's working the way it should.
all right. I mean, that's all I really wanted to know because my neighbors were concerned about this make-believe ditch and then like culverts and no riprap and,
Yeah, is culvert's gonna be necessary at all the driveways and accesses down through there? I mean, how is the water gonna pass without culverts?
I believe for that particular property, we were looking at stay mat going across.
Don's property here, he has two access onto his.
Uh-huh.
Without culverts, how is the water gonna pass from to the corner?
Right, so right now, the water's running down the edge of the road
Yes,
against the grass line, right?
Yep.
We're cutting off that grass line so water gets off the road the way it should. When I first started 4 or 5 years ago, we did the same exact thing. We went down just above your place, on the opposite side of the road as your place. We cut the shoulders off so water gets off the road. That's our key
so
focus.
that's basically all I'm doing is taking out that grass.
That's right. We're not digging a huge deep ditch. We're giving a spot for the water to go.
right,
Right, look, it will be the ditch area where the water flows, right, where a ditch should be if there was a ditch, right? We're cutting the shoulders off so the water gets off the road. That's what we're doing.
That's
the
it.
Whole focus of our,
okay. That's all I had. I mean,
Well, glad you came to us.
Yeah.
And, see the culvert. As a matter of fact, there's a culvert on both sides.
yeah,
Judy's is down behind her house.
that's right, yeah.
Well, I kind of got the impression they were gonna cut Yale Avenue and run that water between Judy and I.
No, we're not changing anything. We're not adding culverts.
That was a little bit of a concern.
No,
Because we had all that water down this summer, once we had it. And there was no damage done over there on Bellevue. That water, like you said, followed the grass down. When either any ditch or devised, there are so many places there the water can diversify to get away.
Yeah.
It doesn't wash into any one, like, it didn't wash my driveway.
right,
but
You know,
didn't wash
it
my
didn't
butt.
wash down the side. Yeah, but I did find another problem this morning that I will take care of. And that's that culvert. Yeah.
over on Bird Street that we've talked about before.
No, this is right up there, where I put the sign up,
Oh, yeah,
there was a culvert under the road.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
So that has to be addressed.
yeah.
And it was addressed a little bit by washed out. Needs to be cleaned out and riprap. And we'll see who does that.
Yeah, well, we can,
I never should have filled that in. but I didn't know there was a culvert there.
Right,
I never, Judy today pointed out that there was a culvert. And during that rain, it washed out around the bottom. So there, I was looking at, I can't find the end of the culvert, so I have to put a shovel down in there or something, find that, and let that water go away. But even that, done no damage, you know, I mean, the water going down through there, all that water we had, done no damage. There's places down in there for the water to go,
right.
you know.
Yeah, yeah, and the main focus is up at the intersection of Pleasant Street and Bellevue, where that culvert has filled in with sand and material. We have to get that cleaned out, and the lower side of Pleasant Street, we have to cut that shoulder, because, and then down the edge of that property above your property, and then maybe even some across the front of your property, depending, I don't remember exactly what it looks like, but depending on how high the shoulder is. State standard is to remove shoulders, deep berm is what they call it, deep berm the shoulders, make sure the water gets off the road. So that's what we're doing. We're not digging a trench or a ditch across anybody's property.
Right.
Not actually, big culvert, so.
No,
No.
no. If there is a culvert that needs repair, yeah.
Like, I guess what everybody see was what happened along, Pleasant Street when you dug down something. I guess they imagined that's what was gonna happen on the other side.
We did what?
What you did on Mr. Steiner's Road, you know how Mr. Steiner has it.
Oh, yeah, no, Mr. Steiner lives on a dirt road, and that was filled in and the water was,
That
yeah,
was a
that,
big dip, that was
yeah.
a big dip.
yeah.
Someone said it was gonna look like that.
No, it's not gonna look anything like that. Might have been exaggerated a little bit, but
You like their driveways.
yeah, we're not gonna just come through and make you hop over the ditch to get your driveway or put a culvert in where it doesn't need to be.
It won't be a step big enough to have to put a.
Right.
All right.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Chairman.
Can I say something?
You can be next.
Okay, yeah, just to, say I have this note from, Old World Masonry, Dylan Eustace, and, he did say that erosion rock should be in front of that stone wall. And also Mr. Castonguay did say for 32 plus years, he did fix those rocks, so.
Yeah, we can't talk about your,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
I can be here.
You can, yeah, but we cannot say anything about your,
Yeah, but it's as if there is a ditch though, so you're saying there's no ditch, because the paperwork would say ditching.
So
That's how you've referred to me, as ditching.
It is considered ditching. Cutting-
But it's-
There's this digging ditch, you're digging in the ditch area.
Yeah.
It is considered ditching, and I'm sure that paper that was sent out back in the end of August said ditching on.
yes,
But that's what you use, that's the term you use to refer to cutting shoulders and in the ditch area, when you have to do anything in the ditch area.
Okay.
You're ditching, you're doing
Yeah,
ditch.
because we were concerned because we talked about culverts and stuff and how they went, so just concerned about driveway washout.
okay, anybody else, public comment?
Is there any number on how many applicants they have for the highway position?
so we stopped advertisement September 13th. Had a total of 7 applicants, and we're reviewing a couple that we really like.
Any other,
Yeah. I'll go. So I received a book of 17 pages from our zone administrator, which kind of a waste of taxpayer resources, stating over and over the same bylaws. In the beginning, she stated that she drove by my property, which is located on Dead End Road. She made an assumption of my alleged zoning violations without speaking with me, to confirm what is or is not a violation. I was informed recently that only myself and Richard Fortin are the only ones who have received the certified letters. It's my understanding Richard and Beth had a falling out, and that is Richard received his letter for that reason. Beth and I have not had a falling, or my wife have. And it seems as though Beth is using her appointed power to carry out those endeavors. The reason I feel this way is because I previously mentioned none of the other similar businesses as mine have received any certified letters. I've been around to similar businesses and have noticed multiple violations and am wondering why no other letters have gone out other than mine. Some of the ones I've found is one automotive repair station has an entryway that is over 40 feet in maximum length. Another one is 300 feet, less than 300 feet from the school. Another one is less than 300 feet from a religious entity. Also in my letter, she states she reported me to the Department of Environmental Conservation for them to investigate me as well. They stopped by today, by the way. Very nice guys. And it just confirmed that I am within all state legal limits. In her letter, she states that I am close to a river, which I am, but I'm 510 feet away. You have to be a minimum of 100 feet away from there. The only issue they said was I had an extra amount of cars, which I am working vigorously to get rid of. I'm pretty well in compliance there. I also already had an environmentalist at my property because my mortgage company requires it. I have their findings here as well. He's from Stell, and he says I'm very well in compliance. If you guys want copies of that, I can give you that. I've been making efforts to clean up for a while now, and if you go back to the planning board minutes that I was at in August, and Gene, you might remember, Art Valancourt said that it was completely understandable and acceptable to proceed in the manner that I am as long as I am making an attempt. Now, in your bylaws, it also states no major repairs to be performed outside. What constitutes major repair? Anybody? Who decides?
It's in the bylaws.
Hmm?
It's in the bylaws.
It's in
No,
the
it's not. It just states no major repairs are to be performed outside. Okay. So whoever decides that, what qualifications do they have for automotive repair? You decide, is it the duration of the repair or how much is dismantled?
I can't speak to that, but I can speak to regard to vehicles. Now, the state actually indicates that as a motor vehicle that's discharged, dismantled, scrapped, or ruined, a vehicle that is unregistered or uninspected for 90 days after discovery is also considered a junk motor vehicle, Title 24, Chapter 61, subsection 10.
That is absolutely correct, but that's not
Yeah.
my question. I'm asking.
I
about
understand.
Repairs outside.
I can't speak to that.
So to conclude what I said, the select board talks a lot about bringing business into this town, even hired a economic developer to bring business into this town. I've been in business for 16 years. I'm obviously doing something okay. But it seems as though our zoning administrator and select board and the economic developers' views don't seem to align. And as I stated in the beginning of my speech, without properly citing every single business zoning violations, it leaves no room for me to believe other than she's creating a act of discrimination. To only target one automotive business that who does have possible violations, but so doesn't others.
So I understand you feel singled out, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But that's not to say that we have to get started somewhere. And that's with anybody's property, right? It doesn't matter who, that's with anybody's property, right?
So
If
you
you're
can only start with one business with a possible violation.
not necessarily, but we are going around to other businesses and
Right.
other entities. That's what we're supposed to do. That's the zoning administrator's job, right? To make sure everybody is in compliance with the bylaws.
How come she's not telling you what her job is instead of you? You are the town manager. She is the zoning administrator.
She is.
She
I'm
She can
right
speak for
here.
herself.
She can-
if
she
she'd
can
like.
speak.
She can speak.
She can, well, you weren't asking. her.
Okay, first, we're not speaking about anybody else but you in the letter that I sent for you. So saying this person hasn't received a letter and that person hasn't received a letter, you have no idea what was done and what was not. We're focusing on you.
Why
And
just me?
no, I'm speaking now. Your violations, you have more than 20. I drove by your place. I was counting on the road.
Mhm.
You have over 20 plus wrecked vehicles in your yard.
Okay.
You are in zoning violations. There are multiple violations on that. In your DRB decision to even get a permit, it was emphasis added, and everybody has the DRB permit that was issued in 2010. that clearly states all automobile parts and dismantled or wrecked vehicles are stored within a building and no major repair work is performed outside a building. Parentheses, emphasis added. This was very clearly stated when the DRB issued you a conditional use permit, because on a dirt road, you're not supposed to have an auto repair shop.
Are
That's-
you through?
No, I'm not. I'm still speaking. So that was what the DRB said. This is their findings. In our zoning bylaws, it clearly states inoperable or unregistered vehicles, no more than one unregistered yet operable vehicle shall be parked in any yard of any property for more than 30 days. That's in our zoning bylaws, okay? The Department of Environmental Conservation, the state of Vermont allows 3. After 3, you are required a salvage yard permit, okay? Do you possess a salvage yard permit?
No, I spoke to them today.
Okay.
Did I-
So, no, I'm still talking.
Oh, okay.
As well as if we look at the bylaw on auto repair stations as well. So you have no fencing,
Oh, no.
okay, or vegetation at least 8 feet in height so that they cannot be seen from the roadway or adjoining property. I have had multiple complaints about all of the junk vehicles in your yard, okay? This is where this is all stemming from. Since I sent a letter out that every taxpayer received with their tax bill, one of the major things that people say to me is, what about Brett Hedges and all of his junk? We're not talking about anybody else. I've also had complaints from adjacent property owners that are concerned about the value, the devalue of their property selling their homes. Okay, so I'm addressing you and you only. There is who I address outside, they're not here. We're not talking about anybody else but you. And that's the letter that was sent to you. I've sent multiple letters to other people, but we're not discussing that because we're not talking about them. We're talking about you and your zoning violations that you just admit. If I had zoning violations, you do. You have multiple zoning violations.
This is part of my 5 minutes first.
You asked for me to speak, so I spoke.
Well, I'd like to come back with, kind of have a conversation here. So I'm not allowed to have an automotive repair station on dirt road. That is Brighton's Industrial Park. It's zoned industrial. Automotive repair is okay in the Brighton Industrial Park.
The conditional.
As a conditional
Conditional use.
Yeah, and I'm
And the condition or what's in your letter, not the DRB.
From the DRB.
2010. It's not.
correct. So you can't say that you
It's not a
can't have that.
permitted use. It's a condition.
Yeah,
There is a difference.
So you have to meet the conditions.
that is correct.
Right.
And I have been working to clean up.
Okay, but I will say that you've known for,
Since the letter came out that I had.
from the time you got your permit, that you were supposed to put a fence there or something, and you know that. That was from the very beginning. So you've had almost 15 years to put that fence up and it's still not up.
No, and it won't go. It will not.
Okay.
You know how much a fence costs?
Well,
So, and why does only one place that has possible vehicles have to have a fence? There's other places, like your Ace Hardware, for example, out back, you get all them pallets of wood pellets. Do you think your neighbors have to look at those?
What is the story with that? Just out of curiosity, can I talk to you about that? What about that? What Brett is trying to say right here about,
they're not there for 30 days.
what's that?
They're not there for,
They're there all winter.
well, they keep getting moved around.
I know, Jim, but I'm not picking on.
Again, let's,
I'm talking, please, Mike. I'm not picking on Ace Hardware, but if we're gonna do this thing, we have to make sure that we do it equally, not just 2 people, and make sure that this is understood. Give the gentleman time. He's done well. Now, when we see other fences go up, I bet you he'll put his up, but we can't start with this guy, dig him out and stop him from doing his work. The letter's quite harsh. And the question, do you have a copy of the complaints? I'd like to see him as a select board member. I'd like to see him.
People call me all the time, Mike. So
okay.
like, let's.
No, I'm talking. I just asked you a question.
okay, let's go back, let's go back to where we're on.
I'm not-
Brett has the floor.
We're on
Right.
Brett.
Yeah, and I'm talking about Brett.
let's
Okay.
let's focus on, he brought this complaint about his property. We're not talking about anybody else, okay? And you saying that this is, we're picking on somebody is completely uncalled for and way
I
out
didn't
of
say
character.
picking on him.
And if you want me as the zoning administrator to enforce the zoning bylaws as part of my job, then I am entrusted to enforce zoning violations. Okay, and you as a select board member should be saying, this is a violation. We need to make sure we clean it up. Okay, this has been going on for many, many years, and it has been going on and it needs to be cleaned up. You would think that as a select board member in this town, you would say, let's clean it up. It's inoperable, unregistered vehicles. That's in the zoning bylaws. It doesn't say wood pellets.
Yeah, they're all through town. You know that and I know.
And Mike, what you don't know is the work that I'm doing on the sideline.
I'm not
getting stuff
questioning your
done.
work.
But
Questioning your
we're
work
here
back.
talking about Brett, and I think it's accountability. And I am working through accountability on multiple, picking the bit right now. Do it. That's why I sent out a letter, right? To hope that people would start cleaning up. So we didn't have to send out notice violations, so we didn't have to go to the lawyers, so we didn't have to do this, right? I sent this letter out. Hey, everybody, let's get this town picked up, right? Let's make a conscious effort. Right now, the focus is the major violators, and there are multiple of them that have just been sent yet again, more letters, okay? And it's going right down the list. I also work a full-time job, you
I
know?
think everybody here
Well,
does.
that's what I'm saying. So I'm doing my best to do what I think the major violators right now. And then other letters and people come up to me all the time. What you also don't understand is when I'm in the grocery store, people are like, hey, my phone rings off the hook. Hey, is this okay? Can I'm making a conscious effort to clean this up. And that's all we asked, right? Is that you're making a valiant effort to clean up.
I
Now,
had that.
Now,
I
I have a question.
Sorry, go ahead, Greg.
Okay, August planning meeting mentioned the minutes that Mark Valancourt had commented that the work that you are doing to come in compliance is acceptable. Is
He
that
did.
true fact?
That is
Okay,
100%.
That's one
Well-
board member.
only one board.
That's one board member, and you have a DRB decision that was done prior. So in his role, he should be
Your
holding
zoning
that.
administrator just stated that I need to make a valiant effort to clean up. I have been cleaning up. I've hauled multiple vehicles out there. I've even hired somebody to help the work, get it done. And the other fact is you drove by counting vehicles. Do you know what vehicles are customers, what vehicles are not?
how many vehicles? Well, then
That's
what?
not, I don't need to answer you. You could have stopped as the zoning
Here.
administrator and talked to me and been like, hey, can you go through these with me? What's what?
Here's the
Maybe
thing.
this
So
is-
send me a list and show me
Come on down,
every,
I'll walk you through it.
I don't want to do that
Then
right now.
don't.
So
I don't, why
you,
do I need to mail you a list?
it's your burden of proof, Brett. It's not mine. So you send a list of all the vehicles with your pictures and you tell us how many vehicles you have gotten rid of. And the timeline, that's what I asked you in the letter. What is your timeline to comply with what exactly this DRB permit said? That all automobile parts and dismantled or wrecked vehicles are to be stored within a building. So that means you're, according to this conditional use permit, you're not to have any. Zero, according, right? Am I reading this
That is
correctly?
incorrect.
No, this is what the
That's the
DRB,
DRB.
conditional use permit says, that he's not to have a one, not a one. Okay,
As long as there's
So
storage
what if
indoors.
what if a customer comes up, he's working on a vehicle in his garage. Two customers come up and park, I'm gonna leave my vehicles here, get to it when you can. So is he in violation at that point?
Are they wrecked
No,
if they're
What
dismantled?
if they're dropping them off to get them worked on so they
Or-
can get an inspection?
It's a
No, it
reg-
might not be registered. You know.
You-
I
You know, but it's not gonna be there. It's-
I know, but you can't get,
Dropped off on trailer. Records
Okay,
bring
so
them in. They
it's
need
not gonna
work
be
on.
there for a month. It's gonna be done within the week, I would imagine.
if it's just dropped off and he's got a month worth of work, he's gonna be.
Well, that needs a.
Hey guys, can we get the quorum, please?
Are not helping.
Okay,
That when I read it, I read dismantled, wrecked, inside or behind a fence. That's what I read. There's no fence, therefore inside. Space becomes an issue, especially if you're doing body work. The solution would be, okay, so wrecked vehicles then isn't an issue, it's dismantled.
Have you been down?
Yes, I've been down many times to
Okay. Yeah,
drop
I've
off
seen you next
cars.
door at
and-
the other
have-
place that has 93 spools of fiber optics in the driveway.
No, you haven't seen me there.
I thought it was your car.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is, do you know what vehicles are dismantled? Rick?
I can define what a dismantled vehicle
I
looks
have
like.
two. They're dismantled.
Correct, but what I'm saying is, reading the permit, it says no wrecked or dismantled outside. So they either have to be inside or fenced. That's the condition.
Heather, can you show me on this picture how you can tell that?
That's why Beth is asking him.
Yeah.
That's why he's
He
asking.
just
him.
invited her to the property and she refused.
I didn't, Mike.
Yes, you did.
You did.
I'm not, I said I'm not going tonight.
You did refuse. I didn't say
No,
tonight.
you said you're not going.
Right now.
No, I
No.
didn't. I said stop by.
I
And
can.
I don't want to.
You just said,
I think the select board should take a moment with the zoning administrator at another meeting
Yep.
and take this paperwork home, review
Yep.
the DRB's decision.
Yep.
Review the permit, speak with the zoning administrator, speak with the individual.
Yeah.
And at the next following meeting, make a decision if you need to.
Right.
My biggest problem here is the assumption. Am I in violation? Sure. Am I working to clean it up? Yes, I am. And like I said, I hired somebody to help.
So if you give us a timeline,
Is that
To who?
to anyone, to the zoning administrator,
I did
to
it at
us?
the planning board. I couldn't
Okay.
talk to the zoning administrator. She didn't stop by.
I
drove by.
I gave you my phone number and my email address.
I got this book right here and my response is tonight to you.
That's what my question was. Did you communicate to her before tonight?
No, I got it 2 days ago.
Okay, I wasn't aware of the date.
Okay, so you're gonna let her know what your timeline is, just get this done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Communicate,
All
like,
right, so
And
when you're
that's
done,
all I asked.
there you go.
is that you
Okay.
provide A
But the way you
reasonable
went
time.
about it was.
Okay, so we're gonna go on now to, any more public comment?
I just have one public comment. The question is, why, Brett's been in business for
16 years.
16 years.
Okay, regardless of he has a fence or not. Why do we wait 15 years to finally say something to him?
that's the same question I have.
We could have been working with him. You have to work with local businesses in town for a period of time. You can't just walk up 15 years later
Well,
and say,
yeah, well, you know, when he got his permit and the DRB, everybody was happy, it was great, he was happy as ever. But the understanding was, and he knew that, he had to put a fence up.
I don't, as long as I'm compliant with your bylaws. I don't need a fence.
Well, or hide,
but you haven't been
I
compliant
but
in
you
all
haven't been
these years,
compliant.
that's the thing. I mean,
What's that?
you haven't been compliant, is the thing. You know, you piled a lot full
Yeah,
of
but she's
cars.
saying I need a fence and
direct
I don't.
nor has anybody else in this town been in compliance of it. I know you don't care
Mike,
about
Mike,
anybody else.
let's,
Shouldn't this
We are-
discussion be between the select board?
that's right.
No, actually, it should be between the zoning administrator. She is the person with the power.
Can I speak, Mike? Can I interrupt you?
Oh, Joel.
Can I just say something as former zoning administrator? If you don't back up this or any complaint, how are you going to do any zoning? If everybody that gets a zoning violation says, oh, you're picking on me, you got to start somewhere. And unless you can show a pattern of the town picking on somebody or being biased, that's not going to stand up in court. I mean, if you don't back up your zoning administrator when something like this comes up, what's she to do with any violation? She's the person who has to decide this, what she needs from you. But I think this is going well to me. If Brett's willing to start cleaning up and gives a schedule that's reasonable, this all can go away, right, Beth?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Joel.
So that's all that's really needed. And the reason it wasn't done before is because a zoning administrator, the DRB made their decision I don't, or whoever was in that job, they don't go around looking to enforce look up the DRB decision when they get appointed 2 years later and say, oh, what did the DRB say? They might not be aware. And if things, people change personnel. And so something like Brett could start doing things and the new guy doesn't notice. We've had 3 or 4 zoning administrators. They don't come in here and check a DRB decision or go around check everybody's permit to make sure that everybody's following their permit. Thank heavens, because you'd have a lot of violations. But anyway, that's just my comment.
Okay, so let's done with this. Any other public comment? We're done with that.
Clear for you?
Oh, I guess we're done with that.
Yes.
Says-
We're gonna take it under advisement is what we're gonna do.
No, not right now. Just whenever you get a chance.
Yep.
While I'm here, I'll bring it up. I'm just wondering if you guys are aware of the amount of traffic off Greenery Street with this solar thing. It seems to be only me, because there's only 3 houses and 1 is empty. It just sold. The amount of dust, once again, is horrendous. There's 18 wheelers going through there every day. There's 3 or 4 power bucket trucks numerous times during the day. There's electric companies over there. The dust is horrendous. No chloride all summer. The whole solar field, hardly anybody knows what's going on over there.
The one in the meadow.
They've taken out loads of chips, 5 load of pulp. I mean, the traffic.
Chips.
They chipped it. They cut off a lot of wood. So I'm just saying, Creamery Street, it's a high traffic area.
I mean, they should be responsible for it.
But yeah, whether they pay for chloride,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care.
That's something.
It needs something. I live close to the road. I mean, if I open my windows,
Who enforces that requirement? That's down on a contractor.
Is that a
It's
town
probably in
road?
their
Can you
permit.
do that, Bill?
It's a town road up to Junior Martin's house.
Creamery Street.
And they have made their own road up through there. I mean, there always was like a billy goat path up through there.
And that's,
Well,
All
from
Is
the
that the one you're
sand-
talking about?
All the sand that they
Yeah,
pulled
Creamery
down
Street.
out of that.
but
hill
the
when they
road,
dropped
the
it.
whole road is,
So hard
it's
to
been
control
neglected.
any of
you go over, even by Junior's, the road it needs to be
Is
raised
that
up.
something that you could talk to them about, and tell them that there's been a complaint to the town about the dust?
I don't know that would be.
That
Well, at
one,
least
Andy,
they could
that's,
they could chloride it for the time being to keep his dust down.
Well, yeah,
They probably
They
got
got
a
a
permit
chloride.
from the state. They probably have a section 248 permit from the state. And I bet it says in those conditions that they have to handle the dust. So it might be state controlled. Just somebody has to tell them. I'll bet if you talk to them, they'll do it. Because
You
it
don't
is
know.
probably required.
you do that
Go
now.
look at that then.
Contact
Right.
Jake Simpson.
Yeah.
We're emailing today.
So,
Jake Simpson is the contractor that's up in and out of there all the time.
okay, all right. But what's the state office? Is it the environmental office or?
The Public Service Commission, the Public Utilities Commission, PUC.
Okay,
A place like that has to get a permit from them. They overrule our zoning, for instance, but they issue a permit with conditions, and one of those conditions usually has to do with dust control.
Joe, can you check into that?
yes, he's
With
going.
that one person? Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? All right, then, so let's go to the library and fire department budget report.
Yeah, I'd love to report in front of you guys. The select board. I blew it up, tried to make it really basic, and we've got a blank space in there, so you guys can fill in your own numbers as things change. And just to be clear, none of this is permanent, we're just talking to see where we're at, what the needs of each department are.
We have a pretty small budget. We do feel like we're a very vital part of the community. And I don't think we've asked for any increases in the last few years. So we're asking just for a small increase this year, like $3,000 or for next year's budget. We do get quite a few grants, but none of those are always guaranteed. So just a little extra would help us ensure that, we're continuing with our dedication, especially to early literacy. That's where you get them. That's how we start.
That going to the library services line?
Library services, I believe it's what,
Okay, so that's the 14,500.
we get 13, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, you're recommending 14,500.
Yeah, we're asking for an extra, 3,000.
The column
It's
says your
only-
recommendation,
that's not-
my recommendation.
It's,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this column needs to be updated, you said by 3,000?
Yes. So I said, we do apply for quite a few grants during the year, but, it's a grant, it's not guaranteed.
it's 16,000.
Yes.
Who does the grant? Who does your grant writing?
Katie and I collaborate on that. She's better with the words.
Good job. Well, it's good for you that you're able to do that. Congratulations.
So can you quickly encapsulate what the 3K is for?
Well, in the past, and we've gotten grants from a foundation called the Terrell Foundation, and they specialize in rural communities like early literacy. So in case we don't get that grant for some reason, that 3,000 would go to really helping our Head Start, early Head Start, and the preschool, if the school needs something. And that's the Head Start and early Head Start gives us a list of what they're working on for the whole year. It's books, it's equipment. We get all that. We help them out with that. They come to the library once a week. Katie does a craft, a story. They learn about the library. It's just a great place to get them started.
And the services are available beyond just the pre-K and.
Services are available for all. We've also worked really hard in the last couple of years. We are more open. We are more diverse. We are more inclusive than the library has ever been. So we have 24-hour Wi-Fi available to people. We will help in any way that we can. So just a little extra in our budget would help us.
Just so I understand, Michelle, and I'm just peeling back the onion. The 3K is in the in case is what you said.
But yeah, we also
If you
have,
don't get the grant, then you need the 3K. Is
no,
that
we
what
would still
you-
like 3 because we would like to do more programming, more, we would
Like
like
what?
to get
That's what
out.
I'm getting at. Like
Yeah,
what
we
kind
would
of-
like to go out. We want to be more community based. We want to work with businesses and,
Yep.
individuals and the homeschoolers and be able to provide extra than what the library can already provide for them if we can. We're really a community center. We're a very poor community. So, we want to help, as many families and individuals as we can.
Yeah, yeah.
And that 13,770 figure for library services, has it been the same for, 10 years?
Yes, yes.
They haven't had an increase for a long time.
Right. So we just don't feel like that's an extravagant.
One line to look at and the big old picture.
That's all right.
Okay.
Thanks, Michelle.
Alrighty, so
I don't.
basically in our budget, the fire department itself really controls just 4 line items. Which is training, equipment maintenance, equipment purchase,
Slow. Training,
training,
equipment purchase.
equipment purchase, equipment maintenance, building maintenance. That's basically what we control. I mean, or, pay more attention. The rest of it is, heat, lights and that stuff.
Right, yep.
We've gone over this quite a bit, the officers. All of us, the taxpayers, we're not into spending money. I mean, our newest fire truck is a 96, so obviously. But this year it's kind of a wish list, I understand, but that's what we're here for. What we came up with, it's about a $6,000 increase is what we would like. I can just break it down quickly. We'd like to up the training. I know it shows we left some training this year. With the flooding, the water people were busy enough, so when the schools came up, nobody wanted to go, and that's understandable. After talking with the guys, it seems like the better training for us would be now is to hire an instructor to come here. And we could do that evenings, because people don't want to give up their weekends, and I understand that. Fire schools are always on a weekend. So that's going to be a little more money for training, but we need a lot of training this year. We purchased the boat in April. put it to use in June. I don't know what we'd done if we didn't have it, but you know, we need training. That's new to us. Hopefully not, and probably not, but anticipating maybe the island would give us something happens out there. So, you know, we want to do some training on that. Along with that, we need to purchase some wetsuits, dry suits. We have some for ice rescue, but they're 20 years old.
Really?
So we're looking at upgrading like 4 of those suits. They're about $1,000 a piece. So, you know, to do that, some personal flotation. So John was at the rescue down here. You know, we got people in our boat, but we were short on life vests. They should all been.
Right.
So we need to purchase stuff to go with that. That's all new to us, the boat stuff. Along with electric car trainings, that's all stuff trying up solar panel fires. So there's a lot of training we can do, but it's going to have to come here to us, which we're anticipating. So, I mean, it's a rough idea, but we anticipate going from 3,000 to 4,000 in training. That was
Okay.
the first increase.
So the 6,000 is the total for all 4 of these? Is that what you're saying?
I think it's actually going to be 6,500.
6,500.
That's a $1,000 increase to the
Yeah,
training.
in the training.
Okay.
The next.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Any questions? The next under equipment purchase, once again, that kind of what I just said. We need to buy wetsuits, vests, you know, a number of different stuff for that, along with the everyday stuff that we need. I mean, we just purchased with what we had this year left over, an extractor washer, which is required, which was $6,000 for a washer. Nothing in the fire service.
It's all specialty.
Pair of gloves now is $150. It doesn't take long. So with everything we're anticipating there, we talked about from 12,000 to 15 or 3,000 increase. Mostly just the wetsuits themselves. That's $3,000 for.
15.
So we up that, hopefully, you know, and like we said, if equipment purchase, you know, one big fire, 10 pair of gloves. If you spoil 10 pair of gloves, and once they get saturated, you know, at $150 a pair. So,
yep.
And then the equipment maintenance, just basically, like I said, our main trucks are 96, a 92, 89, and 96. So the maintenance on them, you know, the older they get, actually takes more maintenance. And we're not that busy, but the more they set, it actually takes more maintenance. And, you know, anytime you go out with them, something major, they're an old truck. We are looking and planning something, hopefully within a couple of years, maybe, or sooner, to replace it, not with new, but used. Just to give you a heads up, but we've been looking, we just kind of scoped out one we found online. It's a 2000, I think, what did I tell you?
2013, I thought.
2013, 10 years old, and they want $199. I mean, used trucks.
We're still putting money in the reserve fund
We
though,
do have
right?
the reserve
How much
fund.
money do we have in the reserve fund?
December 31st, last year, that's 70, and you put 10 in the budget, so
Yeah.
you've got 80.
You know, what we,
I know there should be a grant available.
Yeah.
50.
Right. So that's
Just to
good.
let you guys know, we're
Yeah,
thinking of.
we just,
Okay.
just,
Yep.
and once again, we've put feelers out. We've had good luck with our last 2 trucks to find a department that's upgrading, and if you can buy it direct from them, cut out the broker. Because a lot of departments, they, you know, big departments are getting new stuff, and their stuff is really decent. And it works out because if you order a new truck right now, it's close to 2 years before you get it. So
$500,000.
if we could work out a deal and say, hey, in 2 years, we'll take it, you know, that's what we're kind of looking for, but that's just down the road. So the equipment maintenance, we upped that, plus we went, you know, we have the mobile mechanic, Nick, same that the town uses. He's $125 an hour. So, you know, it doesn't take an oil change on a truck's $500. We just replaced 2 batteries for $700 in one of the trucks. So the maintenance, like I said, we upped it to 10. That's just, you know, just to give you an idea of anticipating, but
Up to 10, I show,
out of 75.
From 7,500,
When-
you're asking an additional 500 to up it to 8,000?
It shows 8,000.
It's, your budget
So
says 8, but you want 10.
you want
Yeah,
10K there?
Yeah, just.
See,
Okay.
so making sure I'm reading this correctly, the training you want to increase from 3,000 to 4,000.
Yeah.
The equipment purchase you want to increase from 12,000 to 15,000.
Right,
The maintenance for equipment, you want to go from, for equipment management, you want a $1,500 increase from 7,500 to
No,
10,000.
no, yeah.
yeah, it's 75 on the line
Right.
item
And
here.
then you've got 8, but then it's 10 is what you
You
want.
want
So it's
10.
$2,500 increase.
We didn't have the 8, I don't know where the 8.
Oh.
Okay, so that's 2,500
So
on the
2,500.
equipment.
Oh, it's got it, okay.
And then you wanted 1,500 on building?
No, we just, building, I think is good.
Okay.
Building's good to stay at 3.
We're waiting on some work right now to replace some metal up on the cupola and wood, and it fell back, but no, it's minimal stuff, so I think building maintenance.
So
providing-
6,500.
So I'm confused. Maintenance and repair of the building.
3,000.
That one's the
3,000,
same.
So,
They're
so it's
saying
not
that.
4,500,
No.
it's
I
3,000.
mean, I guess that was put in.
Okay,
That was just his plug numbers.
all right.
Well, yeah, because, right, and that's new, that isn't very old, is it? That furnace?
The old side is fairly new, yeah, and we put a new firebox in the new side, so we should be good.
All right. Rick, can you, any luck with the Safer Grant or AFG Assistance Firefighter Grant?
Some of it you can, most of the grants now, as soon as you apply, the first question is how many level 1 firefighters you have. You have 2. There again, nobody wants to go to 200 hours of training, to get level 1
Right.
certification.
Right.
So that's, unfortunately, the grants lean towards aid departments, which really don't need the grant, but they qualify.
It's tough on a small town.
Second
It is.
question, how many calls do you do a year? And, we're less than 100, so it puts us way at the bottom to, we did get the last rescue truck, we said a USDA grant.
Okay.
But some of the safer grants and that stuff, it's tough to get them because,
You've got 2 level 1 firefighters. It comes down to firefighter safety.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's the total volunteer departments that suffer this.
Yeah.
The bigger department get the lion's share.
absolutely.
No, that's why the fire department, select board, help the fire department more than ever, because if this year's taught us anything, they need their rescue personnel more than anything.
That's it.
The way that the storms have been, and not only that, but as Joel's mentioned a million times, you raise the tax of $15,000, it accounts for 1 penny on your bill. So
Yep.
the fire department and the maintenance, the maintenance on the trucks, is a huge thing. Those trucks sit for a little while, and it should be funded.
My question for you is related to the equipment.
Hmm.
I know a while back, we started making sure that you guys were getting new suits regularly.
We just,
With this increase, you need more, or do you,
well, there's a fund.
is this enough, is what I'm wondering.
That miscellaneous, because we just purchased, we upgrade, the update is for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's for interior. So we just purchased 3 sets this year. And that's gonna drain that and some besides, but we're supposed to set aside money.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure, is that we were continuing to get you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just ordered 3 sets and they're again, 3 sets of gear. It's $3,200
Yeah.
a piece.
Okay.
Pants and jackets.
I just don't want to cut off our order.
No.
Getting your pants and jacket, I want to make sure we give you enough.
We just.
Okay, you spent the
just-
6,000.
I haven't even submitted the equipment for the gear, right? I've received the pants. We're still waiting on the jacket, but that's gonna be probably 10 grand.
It's
That gear.
organized.
What was in the budget last year?
We'd hopefully when we set that up, we said
25
we'd buy
grand,
a
I
new
think.
set every year, but that's kind of, if they're not an interior firefighter, they don't need it.
Right.
So,
I just want to make sure that we accommodate both
yeah.
the suit
that's-
and the
that's
new
why we
equipment.
Started the suits on a separate Because we ended up buying 12 sets of gear all at once one year.
I said that, I remember that year.
But it's 10 years to be interior, you know, outside you're fine, but an interior firefighter gear can only be 10 years or less.
I'm surprised they can even run them 10 years, to be
Yeah.
honest.
So we did just purchase 3 sets this year,
It's 75.
3 main interior.
Yeah, they had 6,000.
Hopefully next year we can start, but we've got new people, but a lot of people don't want to do the interior firefighting, so can't really buy the new stuff. No, what we have is fine. But we have, last year at this time, we were down to 11 people, now we're back to 18 at least, so we're on the rise, hopefully. There again for the training and stuff.
And what you'll find in their budget, if you look back at previous annual reports, is there's an ebb and flow to it, right? As there's more active members, of course, the budget increases. As there's less active members, guess what? The budget kind of stays stagnant, right? So just something to keep in mind. So we're happy that there are more members, and hopefully there continues to be more members, and that's wonderful. So,
Rick, is, you've done analysis on this. Is 8K enough to cover you? I think is the question.
That's what I'm asking.
No. If you added up everything you just mentioned, it's only $8,000.
I only got a $6,500 increase.
8,000.
65. You've got
I got 1,000,
3,000,
3,000, and 2,500.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like, I don't think that's enough.
I got 1,000 on the training.
Yeah.
You got 3,000 on the equipment purchase, and you've got
1,500.
4,500 on the equipment maintenance. And
Oh, so you stayed at 3K on the
Yeah,
other.
that one stayed at
I
3,000.
mean, I
Yeah.
don't anticipate a lot of things, but,
Yeah,
you know.
but either way, is that enough? I get my
I
point.
think it is. I mean, other than, I don't know, as far as putting money in for that gear, I don't know how you want to.
Do we have a gear reserve
I
line?
don't-
I don't see it on this.
Yes, it's in there. There was a balance of $7,000.
6,000.
6,000 last year.
And you're spending 20, because if you said that the ones that you just bought, I had 7,500 for budget this year.
I think
We're gonna take 2,500 out of reserve to make up $10,000 that he said he spent, so that's gonna leave like 4,500 in that account.
And we're still putting money in that reserve.
Because the other thing I don't know, and this may be something for another day, is the money we receive from the other towns for fire coverage. If that goes general fund, is there any way that could go in like a gear fund? Because we're bringing in like $16,000 from other towns' fire coverage.
right. I know we.
Instead of general fund, if that could go in like a gear purchase,
So that money has been going to the general fund?
far as what I've always been told. We bill more.
It's a revenue line item in the revenue side of the budget. And if we were to buy a fire truck and there were payments, then the payments would be spread amongst the several towns. I think the way to handle that is if we have a 10% increase in the fire budget here, instead of the 3% increase that those towns get, it should be 10% as well. That's, I think, taking that income and dedicating it to one thing is not how we usually do things, because it all goes in the same pot anyway.
Right, but if it's because of the firemen that we're getting that revenue, that should go into the fireman's budget.
Well, but then you would just increase your expense line.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But the revenue goes on the top or the bottom, actually, in the way ours works. So you would just, if you want that, okay, well, then the equipment fund needs to be $26,000, not $10,000.
Why can't there be a separate revenue for the fire department like there is for the road department?
The road department's done by statute. There's has been done separate. It's not like the rest of the budget all comes out of the general fund.
It's
Road department.
my question remains, why can't there be a fire department revenue side where that money goes in?
It's in the revenue side. What I'm saying is it comes in as revenue. What you have to do is.
It's not identified as fire department.
If you want them to have more money, put it in the budget.
Right.
Should go to the fire department.
Right, but the thing, I understand what Mike's saying. What he's basically saying is that at the end of discussing your budget, you have to balance the budget.
Right.
So in order to balance it, if you're getting a $16,000 in revenue from other towns, and you're gonna put it into Rick's budget, it needs to go in under an expense line, such as gear. So that way you
Create a
balance the
gear.
budget.
That's right.
We create a line that
You can't
cancels
put like a
that.
revenue line in the middle of the expense.
Right.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, okay.
and I'm sure if Teresa was here, she would say, yeah, it's right there.
She's watching.
But it's something to pencil in and make sure that we give you a.
Shown in the budget. We could break out the revenue so that it does show us fire departments, this is what the fire department brought in.
Right.
Because we do that with police fines, we do that with other items.
Right, well, the biggest thing
Good
is
idea.
not, the biggest thing is not showing that that's what the fire department bring in, but let them use it.
But that's on the expense side.
I understand.
Yeah.
Correct, that's 16 grand you said.
I don't
from
think
other
you're gonna get
townships. Is that
facilities.
really- And does that go with the cost of living, or, I mean, how's that get bumped up it?
No, we have.
We
to
negotiate
go
that
to
with
the-
them.
Sent out a letter, kind of like a lease agreement, right?
Hmm.
To the surrounding towns, and I put in, based on typically their area, right? The first year I did that was, met with some resistance, but ultimately they agreed, right? Because if there's more area that we have to cover, that increases the cost, right? If we have to travel further.
It's like Morgan pays per square mile.
That's correct. So using that equation, that's what I did. And then based on the consumer price index and inflation, that's what I utilized to determine the new cost for each of the surrounding areas. I try to do this annually.
So I'm just kind of learning this a little bit, what if Charleston has to come to our aid? How
That's
does
the
that-
mutual
that-
aid.
that-
That's different.
Okay, that's different then?
That's been brought up at a lot of
Right,
mutual
just
aid
on- yeah.
units, that if you're out getting paid, why should, but everybody's, it's not like it happens a lot, so everybody, we're the same. Charleston covers part of Morgan, so if they're up in Morgan, they'll
Okay.
go to Charleston, vice versa.
Gotcha.
There's actually
More like,
three
so the
departments that cover Morgan.
So that money is not to pay for mutual aid?
Oh, we don't pay for it. Everybody helps every.
That's to
Okay.
cover
Yeah.
towns that don't have.
There's a
their
line
own.
item.
So like the
They don't have-
UTG pays us some parts of the UTG, I believe, or did they back out?
Just a small part now.
Small, United Townships and Gorse,
Yeah.
like little part of Ferdinand, they
All
pay
right,
us
okay.
a fee to
Yeah.
cover them because they don't have their own. And then
Morgan.
Morgan,
We covered 10 square miles in Morgan, so $1,000 per square mile they pay us.
because they don't have,
Went up,
It went up.
it
Yeah.
was 1,000. The one we,
Pay us
the
because.
one we don't, I don't think get enough for it, and we never go there, is Brunswick. But when we do go there, we've been there twice and spend like 5 hours each hour for snowmobile wrecks way up in.
that's the best.
So I think it's just
Going
like
back to
that
that
$16,000 that, I mean, it goes into the general fund, but you would say, well, it should all go into the equipment, but you realize that the town is also paying for all the heat and
Electric, heating,
Electric,
oil, telephone, all that,
so-
we do pay it.
that has to come from somewhere as well. So that's, I think what we're doing is working, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I mean, if you
You
look
gotta
at.
get what you gotta get.
You do it.
Asking for the moon, so.
$5,000 in Western
No, lately there was a lot, that's, anybody could get money after 9/11 for a long time, but
Well, like you say, Rick, it's hard because we're volunteer,
we don't qualify for a lot.
right? So it's a lot of that stuff is hard to come by. Yeah, that's too bad.
But
As long as you don't pull a parking.
All right. Okay, thank you, Rick.
thank you.
Okay, let's go to the bridge project discussion.
So, send you guys an email, I think, Friday afternoon. In short, you got two options. Put a temporary in, don't put a temporary in. Pretty plain and simple.
This is 10 Mile Square Road, correct?
10 Mile Square Road, yep. I'll run through kind of some of the pros and cons here. So, and this is coming from FEMA, speaking with Deidre, somebody who has worked with me in the past on our past FEMA projects here. Indicated FEMA will cover the cost for only 6 months from the day of the declaration, not yet issued as of July 30th for this bridge. The funding may be denied if the state deems additional access routes sufficient, which they did. So They can't guarantee me a yes, and they can't guarantee me a no. The only thing FEMA could say here is from the date of declaration, they could cover for up to 6 months. Next point here. I've been in frequent contact, like I said, with FEMA. There is a possibility that the state may contribute those costs. I spoke with Eric Pope. He indicated no longer the case because this is FEMA. So the state would kick in if there was no FEMA, but because it is, no state aid, which I understand. That makes sense, right? Continuing here, the cost for a company to install the temporary bridge, roughly $7,500 a month. That's not including the install. When I spoke to Eric, he quoted me another town that did this. The price was anywhere between $20,000 and $34,000 for the install. That's not including the initial fee. Again, for what we have up here, we're talking $7,500 a month. In retrospect, the difference between V-Trans giving us a temporage and finding a temporage company, right, is fast. So there's still going to be that $20,000 to $34,000 install and removal, but the monthly payment from V-Trans was like $156, more than reasonable at that point. Again, let me continue here. The work that we do for the temperage may not be reimbursable, and wetlands and perennial streams approval are required, which we have worked on. Even with the temperage, the permanent structure would still need to be addressed. So yeah, you resolve one issue, but you're still working on the other here, which required significant direct funding from the town. Again, not reimbursable. However, permanent work would still be reimbursable. To go to the permanent bridge, just say we didn't do a temp bridge, right? Giving you the best of both worlds here. Residents will need to use an alternative route, adding approximately 10 minutes to their travel to get into town. We would have the ability to complete the necessary paperwork and begin the bidding process during the winter months. We can anticipate receiving bids. It'll be tough to say. That'll be a tough one. This could take a year. Just being realistic, just getting the paperwork taken care of for a bridge, a year. And speaking with Eric Pope, he said minimum, you're looking at 2 years to get a new bridge in here. It's not ideal for anyone, but it's the information I've been given. Again, like I mentioned during the winter months, preliminary work such as bridge removal, we could do some of this work now, but we would avoid the $7,500 monthly cost. And all the work that we do would be reimbursable through FEMA once a disaster declaration has been declared. Currently, as it stands, we have taken out a $750,000 line of credit for our FEMA projects. And for a bridge repair, you're looking anywhere between $250 or $350.
Is there any indication, just time-wise, if President will declare the July 30th as separate or included in the current disaster?
I've spoken with them and they are very tight-lipped about it. They will not talk to me until it is declared.
Okay. Have we reached out to our congressional and senatorial members?
Not as of late. You're talking about Representative Russ Ingalls?
All of them. All three. All four, whatever.
I mean, I could.
We need to. We need the pressure.
We need to push them.
Yeah. This is 2 years to replace a bridge, and having our citizens for 2 years use alternate routes to get to their homes is unacceptable.
But there is, just so we're clear, there is an alternative route. It only adds 10 minutes to your route. I know, I totally understand. I want the bridge replaced myself too. I don't disagree.
No question. No question.
But just the cost is my concern.
I have a question related to the bridge, and because I know it's right near the town line.
It is.
How many residents are on the other side of the bridge from Brighton?
There's a couple. Joel's one of them. As a matter of fact, the little girls that live on his road stopped me at the open house for the Head Start for the elementary school down here. And they said, "Are you Andy Martin?" I said, "Yeah." These two little girls, and they're like, "Listen, we really want to take the bus this year. We had a lemonade stand outside. We raised $112. Can we give this to you to help with the bridge?"
Oh my gosh.
Right.
So,
And
you do have people. that are in
Right,
Brighton on the other side.
I'm curious, how many households?
Well, it depends how
And-
far down 10 Mile Square Road you go. At some point, I mean, if you're way down at the end, it probably just makes sense to get on 105 and go into town. But if you're a mile in the road, it's like, well, and from there on, you probably have, I don't know, 10. Oh,
I mean,
well, you
'cause I'm not
got
gonna
all
lie,
of
the
Calhoun,
10-minute
you got all of Calhoun Road that I don't even know how many people live up in Calhoun Road. I mean, but these are Charleston citizens. They're the ones that are, people who live in Charleston are the ones that are most impacted. Calhoun Road has, I don't know how, Andy, do you know how many?
Yeah,
5 up there. I think.
well, there's 5 just in
Not all
Overville.
Brighton residents.
But
Right.
not all of them are Brighton residents. That's what,
Yeah, I bet we have well, no, they're not Brighton residents, but they deserve a
They
bridge.
pay-
right, but
No,
I'm just curious, like I think
Oh,
there's
how
like,
many Brighton of us? Oh, probably, well, the little girl, the family there is, I think, husband and wife, and they have some adopted or some children they're caring for and their own as well. And then my neighbor, and then me and my wife.
so call me a little
We're the-
bit
we're the only
crazy, and
Brighton
I'll,
people.
I'll accept being called crazy. Obviously this bridge either way is a huge process. There are kids that can't take the bus to get to school, which presents a especially large obstacle. It's a challenge. Is the bus able to get down there? And if so, could you build a temporary footbridge that could get the kids to where the bus could pick them up?
No way.
Probably not.
Right, I'm
No, I know, I'm just.
Right.
First of all, who shovels it in the winter time? How you expect this?
A metal grate bridge.
Slippery bridge across the running river.
And-
No way.
It would
The
end up
biggest
being
thing about this
$100,000.
bridge being out right now and not doing the temporary bridge, the most inconvenient thing is gonna be if the fire truck need to go, or the ambulance is already in town, they need to go out that way. It is the matter of life and death, taking that 10-minute or 12-minute trip.
I was saying 10 minutes is an underestimate, in my
And
opinion.
To be completely fair, we've already gone through multiple steps to get a temporary bridge. I know it costs a lot of money. I know it's $7,500 a month. And it may or may not be covered.
Yeah.
But it's how much is somebody's life worth on the other side? As a matter of fact, that van, Rustinova, I believe it was, I might be wrong, came down Calhoun Road and lost his brakes. If the bridge or a temporary bridge had been there, he would have went straight across it. But no, he had to take the trees and roll over, and he got seriously hurt.
That's Lisa Cooper's uncle.
Yeah.
So,
So there's a safety concern
Can I-
in not having a temporary bridge in.
Can I ask a
So-
question?
Why road tickets. It's a tough
You
decision.
know that brook like I do. It's not a huge brook. I'm just thinking of stuff. You tell me why it can't be done, but why, other than a temporary bridge, why couldn't you put in, or would they let you put in a 12-foot culvert? Diameter, would they let you put for temporary only?
I have gotten permission from perennial streams to take any temporary measures needed. The wetlands, on the other hand,
right.
when it comes to the wetland part of it, Shannon Morrison told me that I can only fill in 5,000 square feet without having to, a special permit needed. It is doable, but there's processes, and one of them is waiting 30 days. By the time you wait the 30 days and then you go through the rest of the process for that, you're gonna be into December. Nobody wants to.
But aren't we gonna anyways with wetlands to even put a temporary in?
No, because I can hug that and maybe use up a little bit of that 5,000 square feet, but I can hug that shore, put the temporary half or part way over the bridge that's already there. And then they can rebuild half of the new bridge and then open that half like they do everywhere else and let people travel across that, dismantle the temp and finish it, building the bridge. So having a temporary bridge, I don't necessarily need to get it in. When I talked to Shannon last week, I had a meeting with her over there. She flagged off everything where she declared the wetlands to start. I have to draw up a plan for her with how much we're gonna fill in, what we're gonna do, and how many, the measurements. And then she'll either tell us whether all we need is her signature or if we need a huge permit process. And to be completely honest, even if we went through and had this temporary bridge placed right over the top of the bridge that's there, leave an earth barrier between your, for your abutments. you could still put a temporary bridge, and the temporary bridge would go up to 100 feet. The deck that's in the bridge right now is only 21 feet high. The perennial stream guy did tell me the new bridge will have to be closer to 40 feet, 35 to 40 feet because of the size of the river. But we could put a temporary bridge either just off the side or over the top of that one, and that would get people by for quite a while. Another safety issue is the plow guy.
What's the weight on the temp bridge?
It's, how much can you fit on it?
Yeah.
That's
The
like,
temporary bridge that we looked at getting was one of the ones that were set on Route 2 for log trucks to go back and
Okay.
forth.
that wasn't like, can you put a fire truck in the ambulance?
Can you put anything you want across
Good.
it? Put a Sherman tank.
Trying to play devil's advocate so everybody does this with their eyes wide open. I do think that's a valiant effort. I do want you know, out the door roughly, just for a temp bridge, non-reimbursable 200K. Just, if you guys are comfortable with that, we're happy to oblige. I just want everybody to be aware.
Can I just ask where we got that number?
Yep, so that's the 20 in and out, that's from Eric Pope, and then the 7,500, that's from the quote. 7,500 times 12 is 90, multiplied by 2 years for construction. And that's, again, these are all estimates because maybe it only takes you a year.
Who's doing the work?
Well, all that would have to be bid out to we have to have an engineer, then once the engineer comes up with a scope of work, that goes out to bid. And there's only certain contractors that are bridge certified in the state that can actually build them.
That's just too bad to put that much money into that for temp, but I know we gotta, I know what we're all saying. It says, holy cow, and then if we don't get covered.
We tried other
I know,
routes.
I
mean,
know, Andy.
I talked to the state about, because the bridge that's there is still 100% intact. The abutments are still attached to the deck itself. Nothing's broken as far as structure. So I talked to the state about letting me fill in over that bridge and using that for this winter. And they said that the main reason that bridge let go was because the abutments were never put on bedrock or on a solid footer. So what the town did back in the day was they put a corduroy road. They had it was cribbed up with 5 huge logs going lengthways in the road, and a bunch of smaller logs going crossways. And that's what they set their abutments on. And that's why the road, those had just rotted out. You had all that water come down and it helped break them apart, and then it just dropped.
So there's no partial fix to this without.
No, non-reimbursable, even if we get a declaration.
Correct.
Temporary stuff isn't reimbursed.
And again, the deck, what would be reimbursable is a temp bridge from FEMA for 6 months from the date of declaration. So that means if it's declared December 1st, from that date. And they did mention, you know, if we needed it longer, you could ask to extend it and so on and so forth. But again, going back to Eric Pope, because we work with him, I would say probably a little better. He did mention that, you know, if we need, depending on the decision you guys make tonight, you know, if I need to go back and say, hey, Eric, we're still thinking about temp, you know, that'd be 20K in and out, right, to put it in, pull it out, but then 154 a month. It's a little more reasonable.
So
They won't give us one because there's access roads. So it's not gonna be 154 a month. That bridge option will not happen.
But
The biggest
that's
thing
from
is, right, that is from Eric. That's what he told me. That bridge option will not happen. The other thing he told me,
Didn't say it was
that
gonna-
you just barely said, was that if it's not declared, the state will help in. The state will jump in and help us. But you said that because it's a FEMA thing, the
It
state
is.
won't help us. But this is not a FEMA thing right now. The state that has not been declared.
But you're not gonna, the state's not going to do that because they've already sent the declaration, go for the president to sign. It's going to be a FEMA thing. That's the end of that story.
We might,
Question is when.
The 20 to 35 is in and then 20 to 35 out.
Yes.
So it's twice. It's not 20 to 35
That's
in and correct?
So, yeah, 200, 220.
Go ahead, Joel.
we might start, even if the state's not gonna fund it now, we might start the process and start planning for it. There's no reason we shouldn't be applying for every, as if we have the funding, even if we don't, we should start planning for this bridge. And the state program for I think it's an 80-20, you know, and even if he says, not now, let's get the application ready and That would be my suggestion anyway. But that was a voluminous amount of water. I don't know if you've seen the video that my neighbor took, but you're going to need 100-foot bridge, I think, because that water was way up into Blaine's yard. It was, that was a lot of water.
I posted
That's
the
more
video
water
of
than
the
that bridge.
water running right over.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying, there was a video that I had posted of the water running right over it.
Yeah.
It was.
So this is something this is something we should decide tonight, because time's an essence,
This is
right?
something we need
We
to
need to
decide.
do.
Yeah.
It gives us as employees a direction of what we need to pursue and who I need to talk to.
And it's almost a no-brainer to even take a chance that FEMA's gonna help us with this, you know, we can't wait. I don't see any other option.
I do feel like I believe what Joel was just saying was that whether we go with a temporary or not, we need to start planning and getting engineers going and getting the permanent fix, the ball rolling on that. But going back to the temporary fix, that's a decision that you guys should make tonight, whether or not you want to go ahead with a temporary bridge, because
Well, I think if history is any indication to what Mother Nature is going to do here in the future, I don't think we don't have much of a choice. This is gonna happen again.
No, yeah,
Right.
yeah, but it's in a
We're
temporary.
going to build a permanent bridge.
No, I know, if we don't, that's what I'm
The
saying.
permanent will come, but do you want to wait to do the permanent, or do you want to do a temporary first?
Because there's still work for both.
Right,
Yeah.
well, that's why I asked.
But like we said, that's gonna be a long time for the permanent to get done.
if the temporary bridge goes in, J.A. McDonald will be the one putting it in, they will be the one taking it out. And the only reason for that is because that's who we can get a temporary bridge from, and they will not let any other contractors handle the bridge. As far as the rest of the work, the permanent, we don't know who's gonna do that until we get a scope of work.
Okay. But I just asked you, what's your opinion on this? What are you thinking? Tell me what you think.
My opinion, for many different reasons, is we should get a temporary bridge. And like I said, I know that it costs a lot of money. And it's money that the town just doesn't have right now. And I see both sides of it. I do. It's not just because of the amount of times my phone rings a week about when that bridge is gonna be up and running. It's not just about, whether or not we're gonna be able to get to the other side if we need to. It's because we can always go around. The biggest thing is life and death, safety situations. It's the next guy that comes down around that corner when the road is icy and he can't hit the trees and stop, and he goes right into that river, that bridge, and he ends up, as bad or worse. There's a lot of what ifs here.
About the infrastructure fund, and I don't know enough about it, but can we just,
Infrastructure Reserve Fund?
Yeah.
Our bridge fund for that other bridge, I was thinking, do we
That's a different
pull
one. Yeah,
funding from,
I mean,
this is infrastructure, so
yeah, we could.
When is the temporary bridge from the state going to be available? Could we?
Eric told us because there's more than one way in and out that the state will not offer us one of their bridges.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But he also told me this week, he's like, doesn't mean you can't ask again.
That's right.
always ask again.
Always ask 3 times.
Ask again and ask for a waiver.
Well, not just that, but who's to say that first thing in the spring, in March or, April or whatever, we ask them again and they have one. We have Jay McDonald come rip theirs out.
Except 30,000 to rip it out.
Big deal, yeah. We rip it, you're paying $7,500 a month. You're gonna pay that 30,000.
Yeah, I didn't say it would take 5
yeah.
months.
The pull from the infrastructure reserve fund from one bridge to the next, I know that
Put in
everything
how much
off
every
on
year?
this, from all the work we've done, but that money is almost as much as it would take to cover this bridge.
And say that,
So we have $94,000 right now.
not for the short term.
The short term,
Right.
yeah, it would cover that,
94.
right? That's what you're saying, the temporary.
Yeah.
It's the short term, that money would cover
Right, that's
most of it.
right.
Yes, so there's money we're gonna work on tomorrow. There's more money than that in the infrastructure reserve fund. Because it's sitting in the account of Community National for the wastewater treatment plant, because it was a reimbursement that
Came
the
out of
town
there.
borrowed from that fund at the end of last year.
That's right.
Until we got the grant reimbursement. We got the grant reimbursement in January, but Teresa didn't know we where it went, because it ended up in the wastewater treatment account instead of the town. And it needs to get moved.
So-
We're working on that tomorrow.
Yes.
To get it back where it belongs.
We need a motion.
I will make a
to
motion
go
to-
Forward with the temporary bridge.
So what you quote, before we,
Say, and then-
can I ask one more question before we do that?
Yes,
Yep.
What you quoted, what you guys are quoting is the worst case scenario, $200,000. No,
No.
Until it's goes.
That's a best, that's a best guess.
that's the best guess.
Yes,
Yes.
and that's if it's only 2 years.
2 years.
Right.
He said
So-
2 years.
Well-
Either way, we
Right.
we
You
need
know how
a
that
motion,
works,
and we
right?
can either
No, I
vote
don't
on it or say yes or no. But I'll go ahead and make a motion to
Can I
put
just
the,
ask Andy something? I forgot what I was gonna ask him. Oh, so that bridge, that fund that we've had money for? How, I mean,
who's that?
what's going on with that bridge? I mean, how
So-
bad of shape is that we,
That bridge was looked at by an engineer and he told me he couldn't give me anything official until his report came out. But that bridge is in really good shape compared to what it's rated for. He
okay,
did say it does need, without a shadow of a doubt, it needs to work. The beams all need to be cleaned up and painted.
This is the overpass.
This is the overpass by Pierce, yeah. There is a lot of work that needs to be done to that, and we were working. Du Bois and King was our engineering firm that we hired for that. And I have reached out to them. The original engineer left that job and went to a different job, Rich Tatro, and he moved on to a different career or a different job. And since then, they have left us hung out to dry. I just got off the phone with Eric a couple weeks ago and asked him, I told him what I wanted to do, and he told me to give him one more chance before I fire him. And I did. I called him up. I called up the guy's boss and said, listen, you've hung us out to dry. I really need a call back. I need to know what's going on with this because our grant for the engineering part of this is running out this year.
okay,
And they have not reached back out to me.
okay. All right,
So I'll make a motion to put in the temporary bridge pulling from the bridge reserve and infrastructure reserve funds.
I'll second the motion. Does that cover what we need on that motion? What she just?
well,
We are using the funds. We are gonna use the 94.
I don't know if we,
Got more than
There's
94.
more.
But we're
There's
gonna
still
be,
more than that. though,
yeah, but we're gonna
because
use that money, Mike?
Right.
yeah, but we're gonna have to get
First.
money somewhere else. It
And
doesn't
then-
have to-
I know we're gonna need more, but are we gonna use that?
So,
I don't think you really have to do that part of the infrastructure reserve thing. You don't have to do it tonight, because you want to probably wait and do that. when
Right.
you Have
The bill.
the total.
Yeah.
Here's what the total is gonna be, because you're gonna use so much from the reserve fund, and then this much you're gonna have to. borrow.
You may need to say, hey, listen, we're gonna use from that reserve fund to pay to install it and to pay the monthly fees for the first 3 to 6 months.
that's true.
And then revisit this.
Right.
Right,
Because that bill's gonna wanna get paid before the total is done.
Yeah,
The engineer.
that's a good idea.
right. It's not like you're writing a check for $200,000.
Right.
No, no,
That
no.
kind of.
Right. Okay,
So are we good on the motion? Did you get
Well,
that,
just-
Katie?
no,
Just,
Well-
I would get rid of the
Okay,
yeah.
part of it.
yeah,
So
okay.
make a motion to
I'll,
proceed with the temporary bridge.
I second the motion.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
I just have one. We reached out to any of the surrounding towns that have flooded and had similar predicaments about their.
They're all in the same boat we are.
You know,
Yeah.
St. Johnsbury took out an $8 million line of credit, Leadville took out a $4 million line of
And
credit.
suddenly our line of credit's not looking so bad.
I was just.
Yeah. Question. Everybody's in the same boat, they have to pre-fund it.
It
It's
is.
just tougher for us because we're small. Yes. A $220,000 temporary bridge cost.
All in one pouch?
yeah, one pouch.
Really? We're supposed to break those things up.
For a budget as small as ours.
Right. You be compared to a St. John's. bid.
Sure.
It's night and day.
We're gonna lay down some
Oh, yeah, I'm on
logs
it.
and we can do old school bridges across that way.
Get a bridge.
Zip line.
Well, I mean, years ago, you used to just put the bridges in.
Yeah.
Don't worry about anything. As long as you handle your skidder, you fill the river.
That's what they did if I were here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got pictures of it. It's crazy. The
30 years
logs that
later.
are underneath that road, they're 10 feet or 12 feet down. 10 feet from the top of the road to the water, and it's another 2 or 3 feet down to the.
Can you
water.
take me on a field trip so I can go look at it?
Morning,
What time?
I'm there, 5.
Do that.
Wait till,
We want till 5:30.
wait till like 6:30. When you come back from your walk, it'll be light and you can see them.
Here you go. Show boy.
No, here's the, well, all right, so do we have a town manager's report?
Yep. So spoke with FEMA, no news on when they are not going to be a disaster recovery center here. They said when their bosses know, they will let me know. There's that. Insurance, again, I spoke with Susan. I'm waiting on Matt. Matt's from, he's the Essex County Forester. I'm waiting on him to take a look at Gwen's property, move forward there. We're taking that step at a time. I did want to let everybody know, we are going to proceed with the work on Bellevue, right? Doing the ditching, the edging, the jetting that we spoke about in the letter. That is considered right-of-way work. That's maintaining our roadways. It's the same old work that we typically do. And we have it backed up in statute that we can certainly do so as we need. So
What was the result of you guys going to court?
working
October.
Yeah, that hasn't happened.
Oh, I thought it was this.
Yeah, I thought it was also.
October.
Next month, okay.
That's not gonna stop any work
No.
from proceeding, right?
No, in fact, the statement was, please proceed. So, and we have every precedent to proceed. Just as any city, town, or municipality would for their right of way, just to.
Right.
And the MERC grant, finishing that out tomorrow, that's a $500,000 grant. That's the Municipal Energy Resilience Program. The goal of that is to improve our energy efficiency throughout all the municipal buildings. So that'll be submitted tomorrow. And then Teresa, real quick, I spoke with Teresa today. She's a tough nut. She indicated that she may be back within about 2.5 weeks. So
Nice.
I told her as needed, do it. We'll work with you, whatever you need. So
Somebody hold that down.
Hey, no, one question, any more word on that internet? Over here that they wanted to put next to the fire station, you talked about they wanted to get it down by the town.
yeah.
Did you hear any more about that?
Yep. So Mike and I took a ride out there. We went over by the fire station, looked at the garage, and I think there was maybe a little bit of miscommunication between the CUD and what kind of our mapping and how that looked. So as you're driving by the fire station, there's a little green patch area. That is the town's right away. We're gonna put it there. That's the idea.
That's, I just submitted that to them this afternoon.
Okay, I just-
The executive director.
Last time we left, I thought we were gonna try, they were against that anyway.
And well, the best part about this one is it's in the town's right away. It doesn't bother the fire department, doesn't bother the town garage. It's right where the CUD needs it. So we're hoping that's a good spot.
But no impedance to snow removal? No, okay.
Another benefit. We spoke about the bridge. That was the only other thing I have.
What's that?
What about the sign on Pleasant? The sign on Pleasant Street?
Yes, NVDA, the speed study. So I called about that today. He has not gotten
No,
back.
he's talking about the battery. The battery on the sign that we
Speed
shipped out.
Sign, inoperative speed sign?
Solar.
Gotcha. No word back on that. We sent that out. When did you guys take that sucker down?
We didn't. Bruce went to go look at it and he couldn't get in. There's a bolt behind a locked door and he sends you a message asking for a key.
Okay.
Didn't we already
I'll look
mail
at
that out?
tonight. We might just cut it. And we'll get that hammered out.
Oh, we just got the box to send it out.
That took over a month ago. Yes.
Yeah.
The battery should be because we're sending the whole sucker back.
So it's
Yeah,
not
you send the
it's not a
whole sign
padlock, it's an internal lock?
Send the whole sign.
I believe it is a padlock.
What is a padlock?
On what?
Just on the back.
On the
right?
back of the sign.
Padlock.
I didn't
See the
go
battery.
look at it today.
Okay.
Bruce said he stopped and looked at it and there's a bolt that holds that sign because you obviously don't want somebody just driving by and taking off with it, right?
Right.
And that bolt is behind a locked cabinet. And he asked me for the key. I looked through everything and I'm pretty sure I gave it with all the paperwork to the police department.
Police department gave me the book.
Right, so that key needs to be retrieved, so that way we can get into it on both the time.
I'll look at it tomorrow and see what we need to do.
So you mentioned at the beginning of the movie about hiring somebody else that you're close for the road crew?
Yep.
So define close.
Close as in contacted, background checks first, and within the next week and a half, 2 weeks max, we'll be interviewing.
Okay.
3 weeks, I would imagine we have somebody hired.
Sooner the better.
Well, and that's why I'm asking, because we're down to 2 people. And there's a lot of work that we just talked about today. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. So unless we get somebody else, you got two valiant people doing efforts for the whole of the town, and that's holding up a lot. So
Well, we're doing as quickly as we can, I guess, right? I mean,
It is a process. I have to wait for, you know,
background checks.
we stopped on September 13th, right? So we had about 3 weeks of applications going out. And you have about a week and a half to actually review the applicants, take a look at that. Then the ones that you do like, you have to, you know, ask them to do a background check. We do that on every employee that works for the town. And then you also have to contact the other ones that didn't get it. Then there you got another week for an interview. And after that. by
We
that
do
time-
background checks before we do the interviews?
Well, yeah, on the 2 that were.
Can't we do them at the
interested
same time?
in.
Send out their background check and schedule their interviews?
They're super quick. If I send you an email a day, you could finish it today. It's 3 minutes.
It's only been 5 days since the announcement.
That's right,
closed.
right.
Correct.
So it's not.
So
But we have solid applicants.
We have.
That's
two
step in the
solid
right direction.
So while we're talking about this, I had made it a point to talk with Noah before, and I'm curious on, for one, what we're starting out this new employee at, because I know the neighboring town just hired 2 new employees in the same position for $24 an hour.
Their benefits are very different.
Yeah,
They
that's,
eat the benefits. I know what the benefits are. I don't care about the benefits. I'm talking about nobody's gonna come if you tell them you got benefits. They're gonna worry about the pay, because right now everything's so overly inflated. So I'm curious about, for one, what we're gonna start these people at. And for 2, as I've mentioned before, you have a dedicated employee working for the town right now that is our grader operator, that shows up every day, that never takes a sick day. He's taking vacation this week because it's use it or lose it. So I'm just curious on what we're gonna pay him, because I can put my recommendation on what he should be getting paid.
I think
And
that's not something.
it's not something that we have a contract with the union for right now, so it's up to you guys to make that decision. We can't hire somebody and say, well, we won't pay you until the union contract comes through.
But I can assure you, my
Right.
attorney would indicate that you shouldn't make a decision on salaries until you've had discussion with the union.
So I would pay them what we are paying our current employee.
Well, so we're not gonna hire anybody?
No, we are.
No, we're not for that pay, we're not.
Well, you know what? Let's wait and see.
Let's wait and see.
I don't think this discussion has to be discussed right now. I don't think it's something that should be,
That's true.
that should be.
Wages probably should be.
Between,
That should be the
between,
select board, it's a personnel
Yeah.
issue. It should not be in the-
that's right.
The select board should discuss that.
Yeah. And it would
If they
be,
wanna talk to you about it,
and
they
a
should-
discussion between the employee, the new employee.
That's not.
It's in the book as public record, is what everyone
Here's
gets
one
paid.
thing they said, when they're negotiating salaries, that is not. public.
Right, negotiating salaries is not what I'm asking for. I'm telling you about,
What you're asking.
I'm telling you about Mark, because I want you guys to really think about how much he's getting paid, and he should be getting paid more. But I'm not asking you to negotiate anybody's salary. I am asking for a dollar amount range of what you guys are anticipating hiring the new employee.
We
at.
can't, we
What our
can't
current
discuss that right now.
employee makes, but
Right,
that,
I mean,
we
it's-
pay for
that's
the
always done it.
position.
The new employee is not gonna be a grader operator. There's qualities that you can't overlap, that don't overlap, that it would be unfair to Mark to start out the new guy at the same as what he's making.
But
That's where we started, Mark.
That's the same wage Alan was at.
And it was unfair then.
Right.
That's how the town has always done it. I mean, that's
Not
how-
true.
that is-
Okay, I
That
think,
is not true,
I
because
think
when-
we're gonna
when
have this
Alan was
discussion
hired,
with the
he was
new.
hired for less than what Jerry was
This is
making.
not-
Employee, the union.
That's
are
right. Okay, this is not a discussion that, something that should be discussed right now. Not here.
And say, we can discuss it in executive if you
Right.
want. That's contract negotiation is my opinion, is wage negotiation is part of that.
Yeah.
This one seems a little off on the little thingy. I'm not following it.
See you guys.
I have this and I have this and I have this. No, I don't have the Casella. That's what we're missing. I don't have the invoice to go with Casella.
Well. Nobody has.
I know, that's.
Oh, wait a minute. That's Comcast. Sorry, I was.
No, that's fine. I think that's all.
This
you're-
Casella right now.
We had one person that was in for an application, they contacted me, I have the messages to show it, that was qualified, they're a snowplow operator for another municipality. They're getting paid $28 an hour right now, they're not gonna come.
They're not gonna come into that, I know, we're gonna be stuck. Oh, well.
I will gladly discuss that in
Okay, anybody
executive session.
minutes? Make a motion on the minutes, previous meeting?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written from the previous meeting.
Second.
On in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion to adjourn?
Do we have to sign these things first?
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys aren't done. I'm done.
No, because I got stuck.
You're in a hurry.
I'm gonna give you guys a stamp.
Do we wish to?
Yeah, we're getting, are you adjourning to executive session or are you just?
No.
adjourning?
No, just adjourning.
Say, do we?
No, because that's,
Or we'll have a special, we'll have a special meeting, there's something we gotta get this person on board right away. As soon as the new member's supposed to be coming.
Well, he's not, that's the point.
3 weeks.
That's why I asked the question, how
Yeah,
long is this gonna
yeah.
take? And so I want to be able to do an executive session
Yes.
when we find out a little bit more about it, and then we can discuss the whole thing
That's right,
in that process.
exactly,
I think that's the route that
Yeah.
I would want to take.
that's right.
Right now, we'd be
Yeah, we don't even,
talking.
we don't even know who.
Why did we stop advertising? If we got another 3 weeks to wait, why didn't we just keep advertising?
You
No.
can't advertise until the day.
Okay,
You advertise the position, then you interview and do the things, and then you make an offer and somebody either flat out refuses it, accepts it, or counter offers. And then you go into that process.
Who is New England Municipal Consultants and what was it for? New England Municipal
Lister,
Consultants,
Lister?
The appraiser.
the appraiser.
Lister, appraiser.
they're working as we speak, correct?
Yeah. They've been out almost every day this week.
How long did they,
They're around, was it?
how long did they predict they're gonna be this appraisal?
This is like a, what, year and a half or something?
It's a long process.
Oh,
2025.
This is 100%, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Every property. Can we call and make an appointment and have them just come in and do them?
Yes.
Internet cabinet. was
Holy
going.
Town
cow.
hall.
Yes, it'll be
Call here?
front, down below. Why you gave it-
I'll come in my house.
is it up to the property owner to make the appointment?
No,
No, they'll contact.
they'll actually send a letter out, I think, because I know people on Lakeshore Drive all got a letter. And
Because I walked it off, there's plenty of room there to stick it in, they might have.
well, I don't know about everybody, but I know like
Most of all residents.
right now they're even like
He showed me.
No.
like, they want to put it here,
like Mark Gervais and Melinda and
Noah.
down that.
Yeah.
I don't know how far they've gotten,
Right,
but that's with
yeah.
like.
Waiting for Gene to finish, because I don't want to cross
Now, I
conversate.
know of all that scrubs.
Sorry, we're still in a meeting.
Narrow down.
Sorry.
I don't
Yeah.
think that was.
The assessment,
I think it needs to come back and shoot.
This bill,
Right next to it.
Yeah, there's a storm. drain
software
right there.
conversion and install and manual conversion, what is that for? They're $9,500 Pete, or 95 and 7,500.
Or
Cama software.
Be on the side of the road, so.
Our
Yeah,
Cama
and-
software, that's what
and
that
That's
costs.
where we
Cama
push all that.
software is
out,
what
so if
tells
you don't
us
Damage anything,
what-
it'd be good
what a
to-
property looks like on the interior, how many bedrooms, how many.
Why are we paying for the software?
It doesn't have to go right on top of the.
It's a software as a service.
No, I understand. I'm-
That's what the list uses.
They're the
Every
consultant,
bit of snow
They're the
from that parking lot
Okay.
goes, so.
so does their software not
And you
meet the
put it down
standard?
towards the end.
I don't understand why we're paying for the software
No,
when the
I'm
consultant.
sorry, I need this to stop so I can hear you.
Okay, all right.
Can we,
Can this conversation stop? Thank you. Sorry, but I'm trying to get dollars and cents here, and I'm not wanting to pay something that should be the responsibility of the consultant.
So the consultant is purely a consultant.
Right. Their software that they have
It is not his software.
is our software.
hours?
It is ours. We are.
All right,
Yes.
okay, all right. So the subscription is 9,500? And we got it from the consultant?
Who?
Why are we paying the
From a company
consultant?
called Catalyst. That sounds right,
Then why are we paying the consultant for it?
because then you wouldn't have an appraiser. The consultant is your appraiser. The appraiser needed software that works with our
And he
numeric
bought
system.
this, and he bought.
And we agreed to get this software to
I see,
do
okay.
this process. Yeah,
All right.
otherwise we couldn't do it.
Okay,
Contract, yeah.
all right. This brings me to the point where I think we should have this 3 days in advance before the meeting.
The pay orders?
Yep.
You want the pay orders 3 days in advance and there's only one set of them.
Yeah.
Email the pay.
Scan an
orders.
email. What's wrong with that?
It's just not something that I've ever heard of a municipality up here doing.
Okay, then we're gonna have long meetings. Because I'm not gonna sign anything unless I
Well,
understand
go
what the
ahead,
payment's
keep going.
for.
We're answering them.
All right.
Just
Okay,
ask
yeah.
the Questions.
And the other half of that is, whether it's Teresa, whether it's Sarah, it makes no difference. You know, they work on this every other Wednesday, right? And that's the day I get them. Right? I get them the same day that they're done.
That's always been the case, to my knowledge, same day.
And some of the stuff, like the contract for that was signed,
Years ago.
that all for the appraisal started. I want to say like just before I started on the board. So like that's been a.
But to your point, Greg,
Okay.
if there's ever a time that you want to come up here and go through some of the bills with me, like the account payable bills, I'm happy to do that with you.
Good point, thank you.
We could do that and that would,
Yeah, that way I don't take up time of the meeting. Okay, good idea.
yeah, we could do that.
Start reading all these QR codes. We're like, who are you? How that would work? Sneak over you. Oh, no, that's just to pay them. We're not gonna hook that up.
Put that on you.
Nope, that's not their information. That's to pay them. We do not want me paying that with the credit card.
Karen, Giles, and Shems.
That's our attorney.
All right. Oh. How far are we over budget on the attorney budget?
Way over.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to.
When
look
did,
at
when did we go over budget? How far back?
that. Have to look through. I understand that is a concern.
My concern is, are all of your contacts with our attorney necessary?
So the way I do it is I always approach VLCT first. I go through our MAC attorney because we pay be a member of VLCT / passive. I always try to go through them first because they're free. But at the end of the day, the price you pay for free is, they'll also tell you, sorry, we cannot give you any insight into this. You're going to need to speak to your counsel. So I only do it if I absolutely have to. They'll give you some advice, but
Okay.
they won't tell you one way or the other. Is sometimes the point.
So gives you the information and you make the decision.
If it's needed, yeah.
All right, okay.
Most small things, the answer is no. MAC attorneys are sufficient.
Okay.
But larger things are, unfortunately,
Labor agreements and
they need
lawsuits,
to-
probably.
yeah.
That's why I wanted to know, when did we go over budget? Was it before or after we got the union thing?
It'd be after. But we can look at that together too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So all of these DEC's Vermont Electric Co-op are the different buildings we have in.
Every meeting.
That's correct.
And mine didn't either, so don't worry about it.
I always check to make sure nobody snuck their own bill in there. It's once a year, there's a power bill. It's just insane. Like a power bill for light, street lights.
You have a good night.
Go ahead, Doug.
To make this easy, after you've gone through everything I want, I'm gonna be, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
And I was actually following you. Okay, maybe that's what we ought to do next time, is have one person go through and explain it. You did a good job.
Whatever you do, don't read a QR code on the bill.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry, Pierre. Thing isn't done. Very good job. There you go.
All right, so now can we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yo.
Good night, everybody.
Hi, Joel.
Night.
Good night, Joel. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, guys.
We're gonna go stick those chairs right in that elevator.
Where are you having the market fair this weekend?
Yes.
If FEMA is downstairs.
At the tent.
If
that?
we can get, so it's supposed to be in a tent. We've had
Oh, did the
issues
tent
that
fall
day.
apart?
Yes. Not one in high school, take every tent.
Oh, they have.
Work
Sure
out.
they have.
So we.
Just taking the tent back, right?
Well, so I worked with Paul today on that, and he's got 2 tents reserved. Yeah, Taylor.
I'll get
They
these.
do not or deliver.
Stop.
So I would talk to.
Yeah.
Well, I came in like 3 different times because I knew that's what I wanted.
Yeah, it's on my desk. I'll run.
What do we do with their tent?
They don't have it. So he called the
Good
other
night.
day. He sent it off to one of their other
Okay.
places. And so I went and asked them, I'm like,